Hey, I am Paul Shefelton. I'm a principal customer success manager here at Postscript. So, on a regular basis, I'm working with our enterprise merchants to optimize their SMS programs. And I'm here today to talk to you about how to automatically personalize every subscriber's welcome series.
So, Paul, we had our mutual friend and colleague Brian Dickey on this show for our first episode of this season, and he was talking a little bit about how you can get creative with your intro screens on pop-ups, but we didn't really go into like what to put there, what to do with that intro screen, how you can utilize it, and where to go from there. So, you had some fun ideas, and I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, one of my favorite things that I have my merchants doing on their intro screen is putting a mini quiz at the very top. So first thing that you see, it's get 10% back. All you have to do is answer this question. It'll be multiple choice, and then people can select from one of the options, and then they'll go to the email step. And that's a really great way of gathering zero-party data.
As a shopper, as a browser, as a brain-rotting internet dweller, I would imagine that a pop-up with a little mini quiz that pops up for me would be a little more engaging and enticing than just give me your email. So what effect does that intro screen kind of have on conversion in general? Is that a net positive?
Yeah, I usually see that it actually improves conversion. So, like with anything in marketing, you need to test it. But for the majority of my merchants, it's boosted the total conversion rate. A big thing about it is, like you said, it is more engaging. It's asking a personal question and not just immediately saying, give me your email. And I think the other piece of it too is that when you ask someone like what they're interested in or what they're looking for, then they're expecting you to use that information in outreach to them. So when they give their email or their SMS, they're expecting more tailored information based on that interest. So it prompts people to be a bit more likely to actually interact with the pop-up.
With great power comes great responsibility.
It's really true.
So when you're talking about collecting the zero-party data there, in that situation, are merchants removing any kind of incentive, like in terms of a discount code or something else, so that they're not giving away a discount code, but that they're still seeing high conversions?
It would still be including the same discount code.
Oh, okay.
So if you have 10% off, you can still include that on the first step of the pop-up and say, get 10% off, and then ask a question. And once they click that, then they'll go to the email step to actually receive the offer, and then to the SMS step typically is how it's set up.
Okay, so I'm on a brand's website, and there's a pop-up, and I see this quiz. I fill it out. What can the brand do with the results of that quiz, however I answer from that point? Like, what's the point?
So I think a really good example of this, because I'm a customer success manager, I love giving examples, is with Jones Road Beauty. So you're not familiar, Jones Road is a makeup company. So shout out to Whitney and Alma over there, who are fantastic, and they're really on point with their marketing. So basically what they'll do is they have a mini quiz on their pop-up that asks what kind of skin type that you have. So we're gathering that information, and then we're sending it into their email provider, and then obviously having it here on Postscript. And then on Postscript, they're branching their welcome series based on the response that folks give. So if you have dry skin or if you have oily skin, you're getting a different welcome series that is more tailored to your skin type, with information about different products that may be able to help you. If you have dry skin, information about like the clinical hydration metrics that they have, things like that. And then on email, they have dynamic content blocks, so that the same thing's happening over there, and people are getting a more tailored flow that's going to provide incremental lift over just one standard welcome flow for every single subscriber.
Paul, I think like a surprising amount of brands aren't doing this yet. I think I'm still used to kind of getting like the generic welcome series that isn't very specific to maybe what I'm looking for. Do you have any advice for brands that are listening to this and maybe thinking like, yeah, well, Jones Road is such an easy one to do. Like they have different skincare categories. So like that makes sense to me. What about a brand that like potentially sells like very few SKUs or like a super high AOV item that maybe they don't have as much? Like, do you have any tips on how you might still create a more personalized flow from that pop-up experience?
Yeah, I think you have to really ask yourself, what do I want to know about my subscribers? Because the majority of brands I work with, there is something you want to know, even if it's not, we have these perfect collections that are going to fall into these categories. But is it that I'm shopping for myself or someone else? Is that the priority for you? There's a lot of different options that you could kind of go down based on, what you're selling and what your industry is. But there's something that you want to know about them that would be able to make a more tailored experience in the welcome flow. So that's really where you want to lean into. Like I said, the biggest thing is making sure that it's information that you know that you need and that you can do something with, and that will kind of guide you down the right path.
I would suggest like even if you were struggling to kind of incorporate your products into this intro quiz, like a brand could go as far as just saying like, which of these four is the best movie in your opinion? Like, just get people to engage, and then like quote the movie they select in your welcome series or something funny like that, right?
You can't knock it until you test it. So if someone wants to test that out that's listening, write in and then let us know how it goes.
Oh my God, if someone takes Ren's advice on this, you're going to get, what are we going to send them? Text back swag or a personalized voicemail from Ren?
They're gonna get a personalized voice note in song from me.
Exactly. Paul, you've touched on that. They use the zero party data for the SMS welcome series. You mentioned email. Zero party data is extremely valuable. So, are there any other instances where you might collect it on your site and then use it elsewhere?
So I think the biggest thing with the zero party data is making sure that you're utilizing it wherever you're sending messages. So not just thinking about the welcome series and automations, but if you have that information about skin type, for example, with Jones Road, they'll target people with oily skin if they have a specific product that's going to help reduce shine. So that's going to be on the campaign side and not just on the automation front, creating segments off that information. The other really cool thing that their team does that I love is that they use the information they're getting to inform product development. So if they get a lot of folks that are saying that they have dry skin, for instance, they know that they need to lean more into those types of products and design new products to help create things that are going to resonate better with the majority of their audience, right? So I really want to emphasize to people, like, this is also not just about increasing conversion on the pop-up or improving conversion on the welcome series, which this definitely will do, but there's so many different applications once you have this information that can really help grow your business.
It's ultimately about getting to know your customers, right? Like, or your subscribers. You just want to be able to market to them on any channel a lot better.
Yep, exactly.
All right, Paul, give me 2 changes that I can make to my automations today that will make me buku bucks.
Yeah, I think two of my favorite ones lately. One would be in your post purchase flow. A lot of folks are just sending the same post purchase message every time someone orders, which is kind of boring. And I don't think it's a great experience, especially if someone is a more VIP customer, right? They've ordered from you 3, 4, 5 times. You want to be talking to them differently. So branch your post purchase flow based on the number of orders that someone has had with you. And that way, if someone has ordered one time, you could, say, hey, thanks so much, for your first order. We're so excited to have you in our family. And then if they've ordered 5 times, let them know that they're an awesome VIP. Maybe send them an extra little discount, something like that, because they are such a sticky customer. So I think that's a really great one that I've seen a ton of success with my merchants who are using that. And then another really cool one that I'm having more and more folks do now too is testing fondue cash back in abandonment flows. So if someone browse abandons or checkout abandons, sending them 10, 15% in cash back in order to help them convert. And I'm seeing some really large increases in conversion on A/B testing with almost no impact to margin there, because the number of people who are claiming cash back in those abandonment flows is so incredibly small. We're seeing like a 1% effective discount rate. So it's basically non-existent. So that's another really great one. If you're like, how do I increase conversion on my abandonments, get more people to actually come back to site and purchase, that can be a really effective tool.
So many brands are just used to that 10% off discount code. It's really hard to step away from that when, it's working okay and it's something that your brand has done for so long. So it's like, at a minimum, just test a different incentive offer. Like something like cashback, something else. At a minimum, like that is what brands should be doing.
100%. Like everything in marketing, you need to test it out, right? Like let's make sure we have the data to back up our decisions. And a lot of folks will just set a 10% or 15% and completely forget it, and it's sitting there live for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Always be retesting. I would say you should be going in every 6 months, if not every quarter, and testing a different offer and seeing what's most effective, because what works today may not work in 6 months. So we need to make sure that we're always testing, always making sure that the first thing that people are seeing on our website, usually that pop-up's going to fire in like 5 seconds. We want to make sure that's as optimized as it possibly can be.
And not a hair out of place. Not a hair out of place that whole episode.
Flow Daddy, that's what they call me apparently.